place to stay, enough to eat. Somewhere old heroes shuffle safely down the street, where you can speak out loud about your doubts and fears. And what's more, no one ever disappears. You never hear the standard issue kicking in your door. You can relax.
Hello folks, it's Ramey here. I'm up at the Know Your Rights bunker, and I want to do a little video here talking about a comment that was made on my Facebook page. It's a comment that's been directed towards me. The same or similar comments been directed towards me many times over the years, and it's been directed towards some of you who follow my page. And what had happened, I think last Thursday I posted a story about a guy, and I think it was involved the San Diego police. He's found naked in a field. He hadn't committed any other crime other than being naked. I guess perhaps that's a crime. He had a bad LSD trip or something. The cops call him up, and he comes up, and then they sick his dog, sick their police dog on him. The dogs are ripping. It's all on video. You can see it all on video. The dogs are ripping his calf off, and I guess eventually the dog ripped half his calf off. The guy sues the police and gets like a $385 settlement out of the deal. So, in posting the story, I made a comment about how the police are disgusting psychopaths. They're sick psychopaths that enjoy, because you see it on the video, these police are enjoying letting this dog rip this guy's calf off. He's naked. And the police are holding him down. They're all holding him down. They're all on top of him, and they're sitting there letting this dog rip his calf off because they think it's fun. Anyway, a number of you commented, and then sometime over the weekend, I got this comment from a disgusting cop, sycophant, bootlicker. And by the way, I look at this guy and I see that he's friends with about 5 of you that follow my page. 5 of you that follow my page and like my page and agree with what I say on my page. And every once in a while, when some disgusting cop bootlicker comes along, I'm like, well, who is this guy? I'll see he's like friends with a whole bunch of people that follow my page. So some of you need to pick your friends a little bit more carefully. That's the only advice I can give. Some of you need to find some better friends on Facebook or elsewhere. Anyway, so and again, I've heard this comment before, this same kind of comment. And I guess this guy's talking to me. He starts out, this dude, I guess he's talking to me. And it's typical with these cops, sycophants, it's not very well written. He says, this dude talks a lot of shit, but if he was in danger or got robbed or victimized, who, and then he has TF, he gonna call? I don't know what that means. And I just cut and pasted this exactly as he wrote it. I don't know what that means. Who TF he gonna call? Who TF he gonna call? The cop Hess, H-E-S, I guess he means H-E apostrophe S for he is. The cops, he's had. Let me try it one more time. His last sentence. The cop Hess, which I guess is the cop he's shit talking. And again, I've heard this again and again over the years. Well, you can talk all this stuff about the cops, but who are you going to call when you need help? So let me see if I got this straight. The police can let a dog rip your calf off. They can shoot an unarmed man in the back running away. They can beat women, children, people that are no threat to them. They can beat them down, shoot them, taser them, torture them all they want. But that's all excused because I, or someone else who might criticize them, might have to call them for help. That excuses every bad thing the police do. It makes no sense. First of all, as I always say on my page, before you go calling the police for any reason, you better really think about it. If you're a victim or something, or you need help for something, you really better think about it before you go calling the police. Now, there's always times we got to call the police. If your car gets stolen, you got to call the police and make a police report because your insurance company isn't going to do anything until you have a police report. Number two, if your car gets pulled over by the person who stole it, or is found on the side, abandoned on the side of the road, and the police officer calls in the tag. Well, you want that police officer to know the car's stolen, so maybe he can recover it, get it back to you, and bring the people who stole it to justice. Okay, fine. Okay, that doesn't excuse the bad things the police do. You know, if you come home, you find your wife murdered in the middle of your room. Well, yes, you got to call the police. Who else are you? And that's I'm going to talk about that more here in a minute. What else are you going to do? You got to call the police. But that does not excuse. That doesn't excuse the police letting some dog rip a guy's calf off. It does not excuse the police arresting people for having a harmless medicinal plant in their pocket, taking them down to the jailhouse, and locking them in a cage. It doesn't excuse it. Now, I'll tell you, there's a lot of government agencies that I quote unquote shit talk about. One is the VA. I use the VA because since I'm a veteran, I don't have anywhere else to go for medical care. And I talk a lot of crap about the VA because I hate it. I hate it. It's a messed up system. I don't like my doctor. I don't like going to the VA. I am scared to death of ever having to go there for surgery or something important. They're going to poke something in my body because I think most of the medical care you get is substandard at the VA compared to other places. And we hear news stories about it all the time. But guess what? I mean, a couple of years ago, I messed up my elbow real bad in judo. I popped a tendon off the bone. I had to have a surgery. The doctor said, you got to have surgery within 30 days or that thing, you won't be able to tie it back on. Fortunately, I had a whole bunch of cash saved up at the time and I could afford it. I went to a private doctor. This was before I went to the VA. I went to a private doctor. Almost all this money I had saved up, I spent it all on this surgery. But tomorrow, so I talk all this crap about how terrible the VA is tomorrow. But tomorrow, if I was to get a bad injury like that and need a surgery, I'd be going down there to the VA because I have nowhere else to go. I have nothing else to do. That's my medical care right now. But here's the thing about the VA. And this, I'm hoping, I keep thinking about it. I've checked prices and all that. One day I want to get private medical care. I want to, as soon as I can afford it, I'm going to get private medical care and I'll be done with the VA. I won't have to mess with them again. But that goes back to what I was saying just a minute ago. Your car gets stolen. When you come home, your wife's been murdered. She's dead on the floor. Who else do you call? There is no option. There is no other option. You have to call the police. You have to call them. And what this guy says about if you're in danger. Well, if you're in danger, the police ain't going to do nothing for you. If you're in danger, you need to take care of it yourself. If someone comes busting in my office right now, holding a gun to my head, well, yeah, first of all, the guy's not going to let me call the police. But let's say I do call the police. And, they'll come in 10, 15 minutes because they're too busy out arresting some guy for weed and taking him down the jailhouse and booking him in. And they're too busy doing all that. But yeah, if you get robbed or if someone steals your car or for whatever reason you're going to need a police report for insurance purposes, of course you got to call the police. But it doesn't excuse anything they do. Now, let's talk about, I've been studying a lot about the Holocaust recently, and let's talk about something the French police did in 1942. I took some notes here. So, of course, as we all know, the Germans took over France, occupied France, and they get together with the French police. Not special police, regular, everyday French police. They get with them and says, you're going to start rounding up the Jews so we can deport them to the east. Meaning Poland, meaning specifically, I'm going to talk about Auschwitz here in a minute. So the first roundup of Jews took place July 16th, 1942 by French police. Normal, everyday French police officers. I've heard the story in a documentary I've seen by Annette Mueller and her brother Michel. They talk about it. It was early in the morning. I've read that the police started at about 4 in the morning. Again, these are regular French police. Banging on doors, let's go, time to go. They bust in the door and they're not being nice about it. Michel said, the police said to his mother, hurry up, stop wasting our time, let's go. So they take their mother, Annette and Michel and their mother, they take them, lock them up into a concentration camp. Again, with a whole bunch of other people, This is just the start of it. And this was in Paris. Annette, Michelle, and their mother lived in Paris. Now, Annette and Michelle got away, and I'll talk about that. And that's why they're here to tell what happened, because almost everybody was killed. I'm going to talk more about that. And so they put them in a concentration camp. And the next month, August 1942, they break up the families. The French, there's a French police. It's the French police. Michelle was talking about, and he's given an interview in about 2005. So, 60 years later, he's talking about how the police started hitting the women back with batons and spraying water on the children. And then he says, things got quiet when the truck with the machine gun showed up. And that's the last time Annette and Michelle saw their mother being taken away by the French police. The uniformed French police, normal, everyday police officers. So the kids are sent to it's a camp called, I'll probably pronounce it right, Drancy, D-R-A-N-C-Y. It's a apartment complex. The kids are all sent there, 2 to 14 years old. There are a few adults there, but it's mostly kids, and they're just there to spend for themselves for about a month. And the French police are guarding this little concentration camp. The French police, normal, everyday policemen, okay? And then in August of 1942, the French police rounded all these children up, marched them down to the railroad station, put them on freight cars. 4,100 children between the ages of 2 and 14 years old were rounded up by the French police officers, normal, everyday, uniformed French police officers, put them in freight cars, and sent them off to Auschwitz. 4,100 children, they were all killed. They were all gassed on arrival in Auschwitz. Now, Annette and Michelle got away because their father bribed a French official and got them out of Drancy, or whatever it's called. They were part of a documentary I've seen many times that was recorded in 2005, and they tell their story. Now, I pulled a whole bunch of pictures of children off the internet that I know that were in Drancy, but you can find pictures of all kinds of children who were in other concentration camps, rounded up by the police in the Netherlands, rounded up by the police in Belgium, on behalf of the SS, but it's normal local police doing this and sending them off to Auschwitz. But again, these 4,100 kids that I was talking about that were deported in August 1942, 4,100 from Drancy, they were all killed. They were all gassed upon arrival in Auschwitz. Here's more recent than that. Grinberg, I don't know how to pronounce it. They were part of that transport. Gassed upon arrival. Little kids. The French police rounded them up. Here's another little girl that was in that transport. Suzanne Koifman. French police held her in Drancy and then marched her down to the railroad station, sent her off to Auschwitz. French policeman. Here's another one. This girl, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Solange Pic. Lived in France, 1942. Put in the Drancy concentration camp. French policeman. Rounded her up. Marched her down to the railroad station. Sent her off to Auschwitz. Gassed upon arrival. Now, if you were to follow the logic of these people, of this guy who made this comment, and who makes similar comments, so I bet after the French police sent all these children off, they brushed their hands off, went back to work. Maybe some citizens of Paris got robbed the next day, called the French police. French police came, investigated, maybe got their money back. Maybe somebody got their car stolen there in France. So the French citizen called the police. The police came, investigated, maybe got the car back. Who knows? Now, if you're to believe what this guy's saying, because these citizens of Paris called the police to come investigate some crime, That excuses sending these children to be gassed in Auschwitz. That excuses it. Is that what you're telling me? Little kids. Little kids sent off to be gassed upon arrival in Auschwitz. That's what you're telling me. It's completely excused. It's completely excused because some French citizen a day or two later may have called these police officers to come investigate some crime that happened at their business or their home. Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Cop, sycophant, disgusting bootlicker? Is that your theory of basic human rights? That excuses what the French police did to these little kids? That excuses it? These little kids were gassed upon arrival. And the only reason they got there, the only reason they got rounded out is because French police officers did it to them. French police officers just doing their jobs so they could put food on the tables of their family. And you're going to tell me that is completely excused because those police officers may have investigated some traditional crime. So I've been studying a lot about the Holocaust in the past 2 or 3 years. I've been studying a lot about it, and I've been trying to figure out how these men can do what they did to anybody, but especially little kids. So you sick, disgusting bootlickers and cop sycophants are telling me that it's all excused. What they did to these little kids, what the French police did to them, is all excused. Because, some French citizen might have called the police for help because they were getting robbed a couple weeks later. You know, I've 1 year ago, I stood there in Auschwitz. I was there 1 year ago, and I stood there at the steps to these gas chambers. They're all ruins now because the Germans blew them up. The steps right there. The steps where these little kids were sent to their death. And I've been trying to figure it out. I stood there and I said, how could men do this? And I guess I understand it from you sick, disgusting people. It's all excused, Ramey. It's all excused what they did to these little kids. Because the French police might have investigated a general crime a week or two or a day later. They may have gone to someone who had their car stolen. So that excuses what the French police did to these little kids. I'm sorry, Mr. Cop, sycophant, bootlicker, disgusting animal. I'll never understand it. I will never find an excuse for what those cops did to these little kids. I stood there on those steps of those gas chambers where these little kids died. Or they were men, beat them with sticks, put them back in a room, and men got on top and put Zyklon B down into the room and killed them. And I've been trying to figure it out. And your excuse, these cops may have gone and helped somebody who was getting robbed. That doesn't cut it for me, man. That doesn't explain. Maybe you think in your wonderful theory of basic human rights, maybe you think that excuses it. You're sick.
Maniacs don't blow holes in bands made by remote control, and everyone has recourse to the law, and no one kills the children anymore. No one kills the children